haven't. I need to catch up on but with work and football and the
Yeah.
draft, I just and NBA, I just been very distracted lately.
No, for sure. But so I don't know when they are going to be having the second round because it seems like the first round has been taking 6 to 8 months. Chael Sonnen beat Rampage Jackson in a very lackluster affair. He pretty much just took him down and did his little patty fist. Fedor in this latest one had a pretty nice slick little left uppercut that knocked down Frank Mir and finished him off on the ground. So it's going to be Fedor Emelianenko versus Chael Sonnen, which is not exactly the top of MMA in 2018, but I am I'm excited for the fight just because I think Chael Sonnen was on the Bellator broadcast for this event. And once, Fedor wins, he walks in and they have a square off and they took a picture. And then Chael Sonnen, in very Chael Sonnen fashion on Twitter, said, the greatest heavyweight in MMA history and Fedor Emelianenko. So he's calling himself the greatest heavyweight ever, which I believe he's fought once at heavyweight, beating Rampage Jackson. And then Matt Mitrione winning a majority decision over Big Country Nelson in a rematch of theirs back from the UFC years ago. And now Ryan Bader going to take on King Mo. So, hey, who knows who wins this thing? Chael Sonnen versus Fedor is going to be entertaining. Ryan Bader versus King Mo is probably the actually best actual matchup in this thing. And it's a first round matchup between two light heavyweights. So that'll be fun. Moving to UFC, Bobby, in the last couple of weekends, we had Dustin Poirier versus Justin Gaethje in an absolutely amazing fight. Something that lived up to all the expectations we had for it. Alex Cowboy Oliveira beating Carlos Condit by submission, which was very, very sad for myself, being a huge Carlos Condit fan. And
Overrated.
And then a weekend. Wait, did you say overrated?
What?
We're losing Bobby Goodsbees. Everyone say goodbye. And then a week and a half ago, Kevin Lee beat Edson Barbosa by TKO. Frankie Edgar coming back with a win against Cub Swanson in a unanimous decision. Any of those fights do anything for you, Bobby? I know, we've had a couple of events here now in a row where there was no real stakes in the line, although you could say Kevin Lee beating Edson Barbosa would be maybe possibly for the next challenger for the new lightweight champion of the world in Khabib. Frankie Edgar getting a win is pretty big in his book, showing he's not all the way done. And then Dustin Poirier also getting a win at lightweight could put him in the lightweight title discussion. Anything to move the needle for you?
Yeah, nothing too crazy. I do want to see more when it comes to Frankie Edgar. I think that he still has potential to go further. And just, we saw what happened in his last fight where he lost to, oh my gosh, why am I blanking on the kid's name?
T-City, baby, Brian Ortega.
Yes, thank you. We saw what happened to him. I think Ortega's a beast, so I don't blame him for that. So I like to see the fact that he rebounded, and I still think he has potential to make a run at the title.
Okay, yeah, Frankie Edgar, I mean, he's been around for so long. He was the guy, the young up-and-comer beating up BJ Penn way back in the day, so he's kind of like that maybe, I guess you could say, third-generation UFC fighter, and now we're on generation 6 or 7. So the fact that he's still an elite fighter, even if he's getting knocked out now, first ever knockout loss was to Brian T-City Ortega that last time out. So good to see him get back in the win column, even if it is against a guy that is one of my favorites in Cub Swanson. Bobby, no UFC this weekend, but we do have one next weekend. So maybe next week we'll preview UFC 224. Do you have any idea what that is? 'Cause I had no idea before I looked it up.
I have no idea.
It is Amanda Nunes versus Raquel Pennington in Rio de Janeiro for the Women's Bantamweight Championship. The other fights on the main card is Jacare Souza versus Kelvin Gastelum, Mackenzie Dern versus Amanda Cooper, John Hands of Stone Lineker versus Brian Kelleher, and what very well could be a retirement fight for at least one, maybe both, Vitor Belfort versus Lyoto Machida. So pretty solid card. Nothing to write home about, but I think probably the co-main event is the one I'm looking forward to most, and Jacare Souza versus Kelvin Gastelum.
I agree. That's going to be a really good fight because both are still in the prime of their careers, still right there in the thick of things. Gastelum might be on a lesser extent, but compared to Jacare Sousa, who is a prime fighter right now.
Yeah.
But if he gets a win over Sousa, this could really jump him up the rankings board.
Yeah, for sure. All right, we had to get the MMA in there because that's what the fans want and that's what the fans deserve. But when we come back next week, we'll talk a little bit more. We'll talk a little bit more NBA playoffs, obviously. Maybe even get some hockey in there, maybe some baseball. But thank you for listening to Clup in the Goods on this February. I'm getting my dates mixed up. I'm doing it. I'm British. I think the numbers go first and then the month and then the year. It is May 2nd, not February 5th. Bobby, any last words for the Klepiaks and Goodsians out there before we say goodbye for a week?
No, I just want to say thanks everyone for tuning in. We'll definitely be back next week. We're not going to have another 2-week layoff.
No.
So please tune in, tell your friends and family about it. They can listen live on the Spreaker app. Just come check us out and give us your support. We could have used it.
That's right. All right. Have a great Wednesday night, everyone. We'll talk to you next week. You've been listening to Club in the Goods. Catch us here every Wednesday night from 7:30 to 9:30, or check the podcast anytime you like on Spreaker.com or on the Spreaker app. Also, make sure to follow us on Twitter at Alex Klepper and at GoodsbyBobby. Yeah, that's kind of confusing. We're sorry. Have a great night, everyone.